Hello everyone and welcome to the live webinar on climate change organized by AXA as part of its 10th CR Week 2020. Thank you for joining us from everywhere on the world. Climate change, why companies must react fast. This is the question we would like to explore during this webinar. I'm Annette Burgdorf and I'm very happy to be joined by two financial experts, Pascal Christori, AXA Group Chief Investment Officer, and Hans Stotter, Global Head of AXA Investment Managers Core. They will give us a unique perspective on the investment strategy of the AXA Group and what it means to be a responsible investor. First of all, I would like to interview them, and then I will take your question that you can send through from now on. And we aim to answer as many as possible at the end of the interview. Also, if you need to drop off for any reasons, we will be circulating a recording of the entire webinar in the coming days for you to rejoin. So now let's welcome Pascal Christori and Hans Stotter. Hello.
Hi. Hello.
Hi, thank you for being with us today. So I would like to introduce quickly, Pascal, you joined the group in 2001. You took over the function of Global Head of Engineering, Structuring and Solutions Development in 2008. You then led AXA IM's Global Asset Allocation Teams, and since January 2019, you're Chief Investment Officer of the AXA Group. And Hans, you spent part of your career in the Netherlands at ING Investment Management, as you're Dutch. You were Chief Investment Officer and board member of the ING Investment Management, and you joined AXA IM in 2018, and you have been appointed Global Head of AXA IM Core in April 2020, so recently.
That's correct.
Thank you. So, Pascal, my first question is for you. The 2020 climate report says that AXA wants to make 24 billion euros of green investments by 2023 and should completely get out of coal by 2040. So, do you think that investment will be only green and ethical in the future? And tell us more about the AXA's investment strategy and how does it contribute to fight against global warming?
Yeah, thank you. So I would say that the investment strategy of an actor like AXA is not only allocating capital to finance less carbon-intensive companies, but as well to set an example of a best-in-class investment strategy. So beyond this example, we've been, as you say, walking the talk on being very innovative to finance sustainable projects. We've been pioneering the exit of the coal. It was announced in 2015, and we recently announced that we are totally exiting out of it in 2030 for OECD countries and in 2040 for the rest of the world. Beyond the exit of coal, we've been as well illustrating ourselves in exiting a lot of sectors, the most polluting one, such as palm oil. Sorry, no, it is oil. Fraction on palm oil, and we've been as well measuring this so that we avoid the stranded asset. We want to be really forward-looking and to avoid to be trapped into some assets that we believe will lose some value. On our investment strategy, we also announced a 24 billion green investment plan. And we believe it's a real ambitious target. In 2023, we are currently invested by 13.6 billion end of June earlier this year. 13.6.
Okay.
And this will be composed 50% by green bonds, 25% by renewable infrastructure, and 25% in green real estate.
Just a question, 13 billion euros invested, green assets. What does it mean compared with the global assets under management of AXA, which are about 820 billion euros?
It's closer to 600. So basically the 13.6 is close to 2%. Okay. It is currently twice what the United Nations PRI is recommending. It's recommending. The recommendation is to be at least at 1% of your assets in green. And we have increased our ambition to reach 4% of our balance sheet in 2023. It represents as well, to give more color on it, 10% of our yearly investment plan, which is
and compared with the industry or with other companies, so is this ambitious?
We believe that we are quite well advanced in that field.
Yeah.
And for example, if you consider the size of the market of the green bonds, it's currently close to 260 billion. And so having already 13.5 billion of green assets is already quite massive if you look at the total size of the green bond market. And we believe as well that when we have delivered our plan in 2023, having, roughly speaking, half of it in green bond, 12 billion, obviously will be quite substantial compared to the size of the market.
Okay, and concretely, how do you measure the performances of companies and of your investments?
Yeah, we have a wide set of KPI, which are going from the standard ESG scores, environmental, societal, and governance, which we've been starting to compute, many years ago. But we've been fine-tuning a little bit our KPI on the, if I were to say, the thermometer of our investments. We are measuring the carbon footprint, the tons of CO2 issued divided by the $1 million of revenues for the companies we invest in. We are also computing what we call the warming potential of the portfolio, which is more forward-looking. So on the CO2 footprint, we are happy to announce that during the last 5 years, because we started computing these figures, it was back in 2015, that we've been decreasing our carbon footprint by 31% during the last 5 years, which is already quite substantial. And today, the carbon footprint of our investments are 30% lower than the benchmark. So this is the universe we invest in, and the real portfolio is 15% lower than the universe. So therefore, a kind of minus 45% of, let's say, lesser CO2 footprint compared to the investment universe.
And do you think that partnerships are really key to success, really key to unlocking a low-carbon future, or how do you work?
Yeah, for sure. In fact, you can't remain alone and get isolated. So I would say that the more, the better, and the more powerful you get, and the more impact you have on your investment universe. This is the reason why we've been joining a lot of alliances, being through the CFLI, through the TCFD as well, and we've been really active in TCFD, and you know that we are.
I don't know if everybody really understands.
Yeah, so that's alliances so where really we push the best-in-class practices. Okay. Recently, it was end of last year, we joined what we call the Net Zero Asset Alliance Owner, which gathers something like, I think it's 5,000 billion of assets, i.e. a massive alliance, where we believe that all the asset owners, being insurance company, pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, we are all committed to the same direction, which is to be 1.5 degrees aligned in 2050, or as you wish, net zero in 2050.
Okay, what are the strengths of these alliances?
So, the larger asset base you represent, the more impact you can have vis-à-vis the companies you are investing in. We really I would say push the concept of SBTi, it's science-based targets, i.e. having companies committing to a 1.5 degrees alignment in 2050, and that it's making ourselves reach what we call a kind of climate-driven asset liability management. It's true that if the companies we are invested in are themselves committing to be net zero in 2050, for sure, we'll all together deliver to make our planet great again, for sure.
Thank you very much. Hans, what is your vision as an asset manager of a long-term and responsible approach to investing?
Yeah, there are a few asset managers in the world that have incorporated deeply in their corporate philosophy the notion of ESG and sustainability. But AXA IM is very proud to be one of those. It effectively means that in our daily process as an active manager, where we focus on fundamental research and data-led processes, that we deeply incorporate in that ESG considerations across all our portfolios, whether it's fixed income, equity, multi-asset, or alternative strategies. Now, we are the asset manager of AXA Group. So we partner very closely with Pascal and his team. And AXA has made very clear its commitments and ambition with regard to investing not only for financial return, but also for the collective good. And as a result of that, AXA IM has become already one of the largest managers of responsibly managed assets in the world. Why is it important? In essence, ESG investment is about predicting the future. And ESG, if you incorporate that in your analysis, we believe you have a better insight into that future, both from a risk perspective as well as from a forward-looking total return perspective into those companies. So, simply said, sustainable investing is better investing. It gives you one additional insight into the risk and upside potential of an investment. Now,
just a question, but because you're not a philanthropist, so can you tell us about the economic performances of these investments, of green investments?
Yeah, so of course we need to deliver attractive returns for our clients. That's the starting point. But if you want to deliver attractive returns, you also have to see it in the context of the volatility of those returns. So you always look at two metrics. What is the return and how much risk did I take to get to that return? To see the impact of ESG factors on risk is easy. So you avoid problems of companies that have deep environmental problems or social problems or supply chain problems, which has a negative effect on a company's share price, for example, or of its bond price. So on the risk side, you can see that. On the upside, what I believe is that if you are able to invest in the companies that are transitioning to a more sustainable business model, a more profitable, more sustainable profitability, you unlock additional capital available for that company, which lowers the cost of capital for that company. And if the cost of capital becomes lower, we as owners of that capital benefit. So there is both an upside potential and a risk component to that. We are certainly not philanthropists, but we do want to do something good with the money.
Okay, what are your ambitions?
So our ambition is to be recognized as a world leader in responsible investing, both in thought leadership and in size. And I think we are quite well on our way to do that. The way we look at things is that on the one hand, we want to avoid making investments in the high pollutive sectors and companies. But that's not enough. In addition to that, we seek to invest in companies that have transitioned to a more sustainable business model, or management teams of companies that have committed to make that transition in the near future. If to be part of that transition, I think is a very important part for us as asset manager to contribute to society as a whole. And to make that more concrete, in line with what Pascal just said, we aim to incorporate ESG KPIs, whether it is ESG score or carbon KPIs, for AXA Group, but also for our third-party mutual funds. And in addition to that, have deep conversations about the intentionality with our mandate clients, institutional investors that have mandates invested with us.
Okay, thank you. You just mentioned that you accompany teams, even in polluting industries. How do you see the teams, the role of the teams at AXA to do this, to accelerate this transition?
Well, globally, within the investment team worldwide, the ESG and the sustainability of the investment philosophy and strategy is really shared, and it's completely mainstream in the investment processes. As Hans mentioned, we are computing some scores, some KPI, and it's really, I would say, an entire part of the investment process. We are also favoring innovation. We've been collectively designing a new type of bond, which is the transition bond concept, which really is about financing the energetical transition of some projects, being cleaner transportation, renewable technologies, and so on. So it's beyond the usual investment process, where it's completely mainstream. we are also favoring innovation. We are also lobbying a lot. I would welcome that the taxonomy, which is pushed by the European Union, will become larger and larger. It was formerly concentrated on green assets, green, we say dark green, but it's little by little evolving, and it's advocating, let's say, shades of green concept. And we are welcoming that the green bond concept could be extended to the transition bond that we designed some months ago.
Okay, do you, do you think that every asset manager should be an ESG manager?
Well, yeah, let me first comment on the teams and the people at AXA IM. I think it is extremely important that every portfolio manager, analyst, client-facing staff, our reporting teams, and so on, all of them live ESG. And it should be part of the normal life of an asset manager. If you work for AXA IM, this is part of your life. And for this reason, we have embedded responsible investment activities deeply in the investment processes, and recently even abolished having a responsible investment team. It makes us one of the first asset managers that stop having a responsible investment team, because in our vision, our whole team, everybody at AXA IM is the responsible investment team.
Okay, so do you think that ESG, I insist, you know, do you think that ESG is still considered as a good thing by many companies, or is really integrated in the mindset?
I would say
in your sector, in the investing
so in the investment
sector.
I would say ESG is fully integrated. As Hans mentioned, it's mandatory. That's really what clients, policyholders, shareholders are expecting from us. Therefore, I would say that in the medium to long run, getting aligned with the net zero, for example, for climate, is really of the essence. And we believe that through this prism of ESG, will deliver more stable returns. As I said, the stranded asset for us is quite critical, and we are long-term investors. We need duration in our portfolio, and therefore getting the visibility on the cash flow, on the strength, the robustness of our asset is really a key one.
So you asked, is it a do-gooder thing? Often sustainable investing is seen in conflict with capitalism. Mm-hmm. Capitalism is built on private ownership of companies, of a free market, and a for-profit business model. And I am strongly in favor of the first two.
Perhaps we will see for the first time resources are limited.
It has its limits, but I think the bigger challenge on those three are not with the private ownership or with the free market. It lies with the for-profit business model, which I think is too narrowly defined as short-term profitability for shareholders rather than sustainable profitability that is delivered in the long term. If you focus on sustainable profitability rather than this quarter's return, you automatically take into account the environment, your employees, the supply chain, everything. Otherwise, you're not building anything that's sustainable. I think that sustainable profitability should be part of our focus as active investors to seek, rather than to simply say what has the best return in the next 3 months.
I guess that your business is really changing in this faster changing world. What do you think, what are you doing differently today compared to what you did 3 years ago?
Well, maybe a first illustration is looking at what European Commission has announced for the Resilience Recovery Fund. 1/3 of it will be issued through green assets, green bonds. So you can see the magnitude of the change. Really, and it's both awareness, but as well as concrete needs to finance the energetical transition. So, for example, within our portfolio, so beyond divesting from, I would say, the less clean categories assets, is really taking the full, the half full glass approach, where we would say, okay, it's really about improving the forward-looking KPI, the way our portfolios are contributing to the energetical transition, and really favoring, as I said, investment into new technologies. So, for example, teams are currently looking at some smart grids project, which is about really investing into renewable infrastructure. We are also investigating the new technologies in real estate green, obviously putting more capex to finance this kind of mutation of the real estate. And so on the fixed income, it's true that all the green asset, the transition I was referring to are really key. Huh? So we have a center of expertise within all the investment family, which concentrates all the brainstorming around those investments, and it is widespread and disseminated, all across the globe into the investment teams of AXA.
Would you like to add something about the way you do business today compared with?
Especially on the topic of sustainability, I think it is a landslide change. Where 3 years ago ESG was something that a few people in the organization were active in, and a few strategies, sustainable strategies we had as to put in your window shop of the window of your shop, and to show that we also have a couple of these. Currently, I mean, within AXA IM Core, my team, 88% of our assets is fully ESG integrated. So it is absolutely the mainstream, and the 12% that is not ESG integrated is deeply in the minority and will have to change as well. So it is fair to say that now every single portfolio manager needs to have an understanding of ESG. It also is a very big change in the conversations that we're having with our clients. So now there are much deeper conversations with our clients about ESG. They're not just as for them a tick-the-box exercise, but also there it's really changing into an intentionality with regard to doing something good as asset owners.
Okay, I would like to ask the same question, but now projecting into the future. What will be your business in, I don't know, 5 years? I think we can't say in 10 years, but very soon, the next year, in 2 years. How would...
For asset management, I think if you don't incorporate ESG, you're out of business in Europe for sure. So that becomes the minimum norm.
Do you think the future is in Europe, or is the future...
No, it's global, but
global,
in the end, as asset
when
manager...
you make business with China or, I don't know, other companies where the level
in asset management, we work for global asset owners, and the asset owners in the end decide. And our asset owners at the moment are mostly in Europe. We have a global footprint, but our clients really want ESG incorporated. It is the minimum, and they will want to. Will require that across the whole asset management sector. I think the challenge for us will become in terms of how can we transition our strategy range to become much more focused on SDG aligned investments. So focused on the Sustainable Development Goals, where we aim to deliver a specific positive outcome for society. And that will, I think, 3 to 5 years from now, be the new mainstream where everybody will want to go to in ESG investing.
Thank you. I just received a question I would like to ask you. AXA is ahead in terms of the benchmark, which is commendable, but the reality is that to be net zero coal by 2040 is 20 years away, and governments are even. Who would like to answer?
No, maybe on the, it's a little bit linked to the KPI approach I mentioned. We try to be as forward-looking as possible, but it's true that the measures are still not completely stable, and we are lacking data. So within our credit universe, I was referring to, only small 20% of the issuers have been committing to science-based targets. The other ones, they are currently thinking to do so, but without strong commitment so far. So it's true that when you have a largely diversified portfolio, a global portfolio, you have, let's say, to get those data to be able to fine-tune it so that we become net zero in 2050. It is currently investigated. For sure, we try to set to ourselves some medium-term targets, which are, I would say, shorter than the 2050. What I can say is that currently our portfolio is supposed, according to our providers, to have a warming potential which is close to 2.8 degrees compared to let's say a benchmark or a universe which is closer to 3.5 or above. So we are, I would say, already quite well positioned. We try, obviously, to improve further and further to reach the 1.5. We are not yet there. We use all the, I would say, potential action, management action, engagement as well vis-à-vis the company we invest in to make, to reach these improvements. Well, after that, it's true that we won't be able to deliver alone. Back to your comment, coalition, but as well partnering with the companies we invest in are key to deliver.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this lively discussion. Thank you for coming, Pascal and Hans. Thank you very much for your questions. So this brings us to the end of this session about green investments and the investment strategy of the AXA Group. I can see that your ambitions are huge to become the world's leading responsible investor. And for sure, as a leader, you can bring environmental considerations into the mainstream, I think, of traditional finance. Thank you very much for listening. I invite you to join us again in about 10 minutes, I think. We'll focus on science and policy interactions. Is this the key to fighting against climate change? Bye-bye. See you soon.